So this is the May 2023 koha-US Web Dev Special Interest Group. We have a couple new people, which is exciting. We can go around and do intros just so that everybody knows everybody, which we do this a lot, but we're excited to see new people. So my name is Jason Robb. I'm the Seek and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System. We have a consortium of 48 public and 1 community college library. We've been on Koha since 2008. And I didn't tell you that this group is like hacks and fun things we do with Koha and ideas to make it better. And a lot of times we're trying to generate things that we can put into bugs that then can get put into the base code, things we feel would improve usability and user experience and that sort of thing. Go ahead, Lucas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lucas. I'm the Koha web developer for Bywater Solutions.
I'll go. I'm Barbara Johnson. I'm Technical Services Manager at Bedford Public Library, Texas. We are a standalone library, and we have been on Koha since 2016.
I'm George Williams. I'm the NEKLS Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System. And NEKLS has been using Koha, I think, since 2008 or 2009. And we've been on Community Koha since 2011. We have, I should mention, we have, like Jason, we've got a lot of libraries. We have, I think 51, we're going to become a 50 library consortium because one of the schools in our system is closing permanently. And they've even gone so far as selling the building already. So we're going to be one library smaller.
I'm Michelle Spinney. I'm from the CLAMS Library Network, and we just joined Koha February 27th.
Cool. And I see Eileen maybe stepped away. So we will go ahead and do what we do, which is to say we don't have an agenda, and usually we just kind of show off what we've all been working on and any cool tricks and stuff. So who's got stuff? I mean, I've been playing around with the new staff client because our test server got upgraded. So I guess I can show you some of the peeves that I've tweaked that I don't know if I'm gonna like keep, because I'm really trying hard not to make changes because I want people to use it first. But there were just a few little things that are bugging me. So let me share my screen. That one. So the first thing, again, this is our test server, and I may not like push it out to my people this way, but the search bar felt claustrophobic to me, so I did add a little extra padding. I'm afraid that when my nonagenarian libraries get this, they're gonna struggle and be clicking this instead of the search bar because it's so close together. So I did add some padding and change the styling just a little bit on these buttons as well. One of the big things that I noticed, and I think it's why it feels so weird, is the input box doesn't outline anymore when you're focused on it. Like, I didn't realize for a long time when you switch the tabs that it's refocusing the thing. So another change I did was just to add that outline when it's focused, which is yellow right now, which I don't know that I like because it's very lemon lime, but it's using the base color palette from the site. I think that helps with the usability a little, and it's sort of needed. I think it's an accessibility concern as well when the input boxes aren't outlined. So those are the two major things I changed up there. And then it was driving me nuts that these tabs are dark when they're not highlighted. So I just I faded them out. So like the dark green tells me in my brain that's the one I have clicked when in fact I have the light one clicked. So I changed that because it was bugging me, and it's probably just a me pickiness thing, but that's all I've done so far. I'm trying to resist any other changes.
I really love that it's like a you're highlighting it up there because we're on 2211, so we're definitely seeing that. Where like you click on renew and it just doesn't really tell you that you're in renew. It's just it's not very obvious, and I do like that. I agree when something is the dark green, that to me tells me that that's the tab that I'm on. So it's it is like
It feels backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jason, I mean, we should do this, but it's a shame that our systems people are not on the call, on the meeting. So if you do this, you know, you make those customized changes, the next time there's an upgrade, do they disappear and you have to redo it?
No, so all of this sort of customization stuff that we do happens in two different system preferences, and the system preferences maintain their values when you upgrade. Generally the problem with doing large amounts of customization, something small will change in the background and it'll break what's in that box. Stuff that's in the box never actually goes away. But ideally, stuff like this, and I've started working on a ticket for the highlighting one at least, is that I'm gonna say, hey community, I think this is how it should look, and this is what I did to make it look that way. And then that'll get added to the base code eventually. But in the meantime, you can also go into that ticket, pull the code that I've put in and put it into your system preference and make it work as sort of Band-Aid.
And that looks good enough to me that I think this should be how Koha is. That's a significant improvement in just visually in it for accessibility reasons. So
Lucas, if we ask you, can you do it for us?
yeah, if Jason is willing to share his
Okay,
code.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to overstep the mark.
No, I'm
Who
all
knew?
I'm sure he
Who
is.
knew?
I'm guessing he is, or else he
Yeah.
wouldn't have told us about it today.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, to share.
That's cool.
But to avoid it, like Jason said, having a problem in the future where one little thing changes and throws the custom CSS off, we should probably file a patch and make it like this. I just think it's a good improvement.
We'll wait patiently then. One thing, I wish Avery was here. Something happened with our holds display yesterday when we upgraded.
Was it the holds display or was it the holds not triggering?
No, the holds not triggering is fine now. It was a display that changed. Oh God, I wish she was here.
Did you all go from I apologize for forgetting, but did you come live to Koha on 2205 and then just recently go to 2111? Okay.
I don't know.
So your display, there was
It's-
that. It probably is related to this staff client redesign that we've been speaking about. But I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I'll find the ticket, I guess. It was something about there was a display for item level holds, and it's now showing a 0. Let me find the ticket while you guys talk. I'll be back in a minute.
Well, I also have been monkeying around with 2211. And one of the things I discovered is that, Christopher and I had done a video about using the Bootstrap badges to highlight the statuses of items. And the community seems to have customized away all of the functions of the Bootstrap badges. Like the primary, secondary, they run the Bootstrap customizers so that if you use the standard Bootstrap commands, those don't work the way they were working before. So I just, wrote some CSS to kind of bring them back. And actually, this actually gives me the ability to color them differently however I want. But, we've got it set up. I think, let me turn this off. This is what it looks like normally, which isn't, well, actually not quite normally, because I also use some jQuery to add the font awesome icons, but those really stand out better when you add the CSS to make them look like badges. So I've been working on getting that done so that it looks similar to what we've already got now.
I noticed that, but it didn't register because like my little Holtz Q badge is on that shows the count turned yellow, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, all of the Bootstrap badges have been customized into one color, so it doesn't matter if you do like badge primary, badge info, they're all yellow. They're all either yellow or white, it seems like. But that just gives me the opportunity to move all of that customization into CSS instead of having it be jQuery to add a class to the elements. I can use CSS to just style the elements. And all I did was I looked at what is the underlying CSS that customizes those badges and add that to the CSS. So that was actually pretty easy. So that's what I was working on yesterday when I wasn't working on other things. We've noticed we have a problem right now with I didn't realize this until I was working on this stuff yesterday, but if I go to edit items, there's a problem with our Koha where we don't have any data in the edit items table. And when I asked Bywater about that, they said, oh, it's a problem with the installation, and they're gonna fix that. I don't know when, but they said we're gonna.
Now, Lucas fixed it on mine.
Oh, did he?
Sorry, I missed that part. What was the fix, or what was the problem?
Missing data in the items.
We have this problem where there's no data in our.
Oh yeah, that's not a bug you're going to find in Koha community because it's a result of a bad rebase.
Yeah, that's what
package, and Kyle has fixed it going forward. If you want, I could have him just apply that fix real quick to your test server, George.
Well, I sent in a ticket yesterday, and they said they were going to do it. They just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
So I'm just still waiting. I mean, it's been 24 hours. I would have expected it to have been done by now, right? I'm in no hurry. You don't need to push Kyle off a cliff for me.
And it's a known problem, so it should not be something that is going to appear in when your production servers go live.
Yeah. I guess, the other thing that I did last week that's kind of web developy was for CLAMS, I wrote a version of the issue quick slip that only shows things that are checked out at the branch that you're logged in at. And I shared that on the circulation list. And Christopher did the same thing. He shared the version he shared only shows the things that are checked out in the last 15 minutes on the issue quick slip. So
yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we haven't because we were upgrading yesterday and have been dealing with resulting issues. Brendan has not had a chance to put that in place yet, but that will be great.
Well, I think Michelle was at another meeting this week, and what I told her is that after you guys get it up, and if it's running and you like it, we're going to make you come on one of our videos so we can talk about it.
We'll volunteer somebody who's not here, Michelle, right? Avery or Brandon. That's what they get for not coming to this meeting. So one of the things that happened after yesterday, but I'm not sure if this is the forum for it. I have a question, actually. Things we noticed that worked before but are now messed up in 2211, and we're getting feedback from Bywater support that it's a bug. Generally speaking, how soon are those bugs fixed? How fast? Or does it sit there with other bugs, or because it's related to an upgrade and it was something that just went askew, if that's such a word? You know, how quickly are those things resolved?
It can really depend on the bug, the nature of the bug, sort of the severity of the bug, how it will get fixed and how it gets classified when it's filed as a bug. Is it importance normal? Is it high importance? Is it critical? Is it an enhancement or something like that? Will all affect the timeline of when you will end up seeing that bug fix in Koha. Then also just are the developers who are patching the bug writing the patch right the first time, or does it have to be? Does it fail QA? Have to go back, cycle through the process again before it makes it into the software. So there's really no good answer to that in terms of like, it will be this amount of time or that amount of time. It can vary.
Because we now have items that are in transit from one library to another that are showing up on the holds queue.
Yeah, that one is, I heard about that one today, and that
was working fine before. That was working fine until we upgraded.
And that is something that the severity, I think, will be marked as critical. And so those will be quickly fixed, quickly put into the master version of Koha software. And then as far as Bywater partners go, that's going to be probably what we call Drax patch or PAX patched quickly onto your server to rectify the problem. And usually what we want before we do that is somebody in the community to look at the bug and to get it to a past QA status so that we know that it's a safe and good fix before we go applying it to live servers.
That's what I was going to say. I've been using Koha since 2012, and there are some bugs that, you know, there was a version we upgraded to in early on, like in 2012 or 2013, one of the first upgrades we did, where all of a sudden everybody's grace period stopped working. And so that got fixed like within a week. But then there are other minor little bugs. If it's a bug that doesn't affect a lot of libraries, like if you have to have your Koha system configured in the most obscure way possible, those don't get fixed as fast because there aren't a lot of people screaming about them. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is the more people that complain, the faster things will get fixed. And the more serious it is, like a serious security issue, those will get fixed pretty quickly too. A lot of times with security issues, you'll come in the morning and you'll see an email that says there was a security issue and everybody's Koha was updated last night to solve a security problem. And those will come with no warning. So it really depends on how severe it is. There are some bugs that I've seen that have been fixed within a couple of days. And then some that are still out there because you know, there's only one or two libraries that are affected really by them, or they're just not that big of a deal. They're, you know, it's like, I'd really like this thing that's on this side of the screen to be on this side of the screen. That's the kind of thing that if you want it to get fixed, you kind of have to push it along and maybe throw money at it to get those things fixed or changed. But that's also a great reason to come to these, is because a lot of times if it's just, I want to move this from here to here, you can do it yourself if nobody wants to fix it. And if there isn't a lot of interest in it and it's not worth throwing money at it, maybe you can write some CSS to move it or some jQuery to move it around and to get it to do something different. And then you don't have to worry about that kind of, you know, going through the whole development process.
that was my whole spiel on why Koha rocks, because you can make it do it with enough willpower, uh, or money or whatever, support. But I agree. Like, I've got bugs pinned to my wall back here that only are bothering my people. So I've written some jQuery to work around it until that bug gets fully patched. And I feel like I come from Koha land. Like, I worked on a Spectrum system a little bit when I was a page up front, but I've mostly just only worked on Koha. But I feel like that's something you can't do in proprietary softwares the way we do in Koha, where you can, like, it gives you the option to go in and make those little tweaks to your system that are special to you. And that's why I love Koha. It's
Well, I
customizable.
have faith in our systems team and in Michelle that we'll get to that point at some point, but because we just migrated in February, we're,
Right.
putting out fires constantly, trying to learn the system ourselves, trying to make documentation for our libraries because they like step-by-step guides. So
And
yeah,
I would say
I think it's great that this sharing, it's so much different than the
that's
previous
like
vendor.
a really organic thing. I think for us it was anyways. Like, when I started, I didn't know SQL, I didn't know CSS, I didn't know jQuery, and it's just like, as you progress through using Koha, you pick that stuff all up along the way. Like, and it's like leveling up every time. It's like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Recently it was, oh, I can't. Like, before it was always, I can just put makeup on Koha. Like, I know how to change the colors. I can give it a different shade of lipstick or whatever. But like, and the APIs came in and I'm like, oh wait, I can pull information onto the page now. I can actually, like, make larger changes that we've been wanting that aren't getting pushed through. So yeah, just staying involved, watching what other people are doing to see what's possible, I think is really important. Okay, that was a fun spiel. What else do we want to talk about today?
Well, I can show the latest changes I made to the children's OPAC. What?
I can't show my latest changes because it's been a month and I haven't touched it because I keep getting distracted by other projects.
While you're pulling that up, Barbara, I put a link to Jason's presentation at the Kansas Summit called Koha Rocks. There's a link to that in the chat box if anybody wants to watch it. But you have to stop watching there. You don't need to watch the presentation that comes after that.
So can you see the children's OPAC?
Yep.
Yes. So this all mostly looks the same, but we did add, we didn't want this really came from talking to Lucas about some stuff. You usually have the little person icon up there. And we thought, since it's kids, maybe we should make it fun. And we did try an owl, but it was dark brown and it didn't look as good. So right now it's a hatching chicken because we actually have chickens in the library. So we added that. And then as I've had our youth staff testing things, they were really concerned about not having the ability to limit things to whether it's a book or a DVD or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, but then I'd probably have to add the facets back, which kind of took away from the look of everything. But I think I got it to where it'll work. And at first I had it to where as you scroll down, you just got a bunch of blue because the facet container didn't, it was stuck up at the top. So I finally figured out how to make it go with the screen the whole way. So I'm more pleased with that instead of having a big, blue space to the left that makes it look like, well, why didn't you center this on the screen? That's really most of it. They're still testing it to see what they think. I guess the other thing was because they wanted the kids to be able to put their own molds on, we styled the buttons here a little different, and we removed a lot of the functionality of being able to interact. So we really got kind of just the basic stuff there. And that's mostly it, but I finally got the chicken there, so I was happy about that. And really, a lot of this, I'm not really sure how I did it. It's kind of like just persistence. It's like I want something to show up there other than the little person icon. I want the chicken or the owl, and finally I did something and it worked. So
Your force of will. I like that a lot, actually. I'm gonna borrow that idea too.
and then we thought we might change the little icon. You know, we could change things through the season. You know, like we could put a Christmas tree there, or we could put, you know, fireworks, or who knows what, you know, we might do there. And we wanted it not to be a person because we didn't want to have to worry about skin color. We wanted it to be something that was, you know, everybody could relate to. So
Yep, it's looking good. I bookmarked your page so that I can go in and look at the different things that you're doing and borrow some of those ideas. I like the facets. I'm wondering, can make those like more kid friendly, like more touch friendly. Like I'm trying to focus on using this on an iPad primarily, so making it like bigger padding, maybe less options. I don't know.
I did remove a few of the options. And then right now, because I did struggle, I've only got it showing on a desktop, because when I got to the iPad, then I started getting, you know, the wonkiness. And I know the way I do things is through persistence. And when I finally get the result I want, I'm like, okay, that's good, but it may not necessarily be the, you know, best way of making it happen, but it's there. So
I do the same thing. I'm like, I would start off like floating things around and like, I shouldn't be floating these things. I should figure out how to put them in a grid or something.
yeah.
But it looks right. So it's just yeah. It's a practice in beating your head against it until it works how you want everywhere. No more floats. Yeah, Lucas agrees. I'm hoping to get back to mine before the end of this month. My people told me I had to push off our upgrade till after summer reading, which would give me more time to work on the kids catalog. But I think they really just wanted me to work on the kids catalog more, and but they are really excited about it, and I do want to try and get it to a state where I can at least put it out in a few libraries and get some user testing before we launch it widely. Anything else? Questions? Things that you want to see how work for the new people, or issues you think that we could put band-aids on?
I wish I could learn SQL by persistence. I am very persistent, but I don't think that's going to work for me.
We do have a video on the koha-US that koha-US did that's like SQL for Koha beginners. So it's specific to Koha. Let me find that video for you. Christopher and I did that several years ago, so it might not be totally up to date, but it gives you sort of the gist of getting started. And I don't know, it always helps me to visualize things as Lego bricks. So there's a lot of Lego brick symbolism in there, but like anything I do is like, oh, I'm just putting chunks of things together. Like figure out what the chunks are, and then it sort of unlocks that for you. I'm going to stop talking so that I can find that video.
So is anyone here using Aspen rather than the OPAC? No.
No, we use the vanilla OPAC. We've looked at Aspen. We want the ferberization from Aspen, but it's outside of our price range to just gain that at this point. I'd really like to see ferberization become part of base koha rather than using an external product for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Michelle, you may disagree, but we're finding our libraries are asking us to separate things. I mean, it's just getting the happy medium of what is bunched together and what is not. Our express books, which are, you know, a browsing collection, our libraries can have an express collection as long as they have a shareable copy. So we've had to separate those out. And there was a couple of other things. Was it graphic novels? So we thought everything was going to be great, like squished in together. I guess that's ferberization. But in fact, we're just trying to reach a middle ground. And then one library will ask for something to be separated out, and then another library a week later will ask for it to be put back. So it's just, we do everything by consensus, well, mostly. So that's what we're running up against with ferberization. Oh, thank you for adding that. Oh, Brandon, you missed all the cool stuff. Stuff that Jason did on the new version, 2211. Really nice.
I mean, we've got half an hour. I can show you again.
Yeah.
Cliff Notes version. Let me share my screen again.
As long as everybody else doesn't mind.
I'm not seeing anybody revolt. George's camera's off, so we'll pretend he's not revolting. Yeah, so
That's SQL.
things that I've changed are this header search bar. Try to make it a little less claustrophobic and harder to like accidentally hit the wrong thing. I changed these tabs so they light up, and then I added the focus back to the input field because I feel like that's been what's throwing me off when I'm clicking around this thing. And then the tabs on the wherever. I changed all the tabs so that they're not green when they're not selected because I couldn't handle it, basically. So this is what it looks like now. And I just inverted the colors so that they're not glaring at me when I don't have them clicked. I think that's it.
That looks really cool. So that's all just CSS that you added?
Yep. Yep. Just some little CSS tweaks. I can put it in the chat. And let me show, because that question came up too. I'll show you
And
where
do you add it to?
So you go to administration, and then it's a system preference. So yeah. For CSS, it's internet user CSS for the staff client. And then if you have jQuery or JavaScript, you can put it in the internet user JS. It's a little, I have a lot of customization going on. But for the header search, it's just not that much actually. So that's the header search changes, and then the nav tabs are this. And I'll put that in chat if you want to play with it. I think that got it all.
I think I don't want to change anything because people
Right,
just got to the new thing.
You don't want to do that on production for sure. Never,
Don't wanna
never on a
change it yet.
production server. But like, if you want to take it over to a sandbox, or if you guys have a test server, that's where I do all my playing.
Well, we
So-
don't, but we're negotiating getting one. Oh, that darn dog. I hope you can't hear him.
We didn't have a test server for the longest time. My previous administration didn't think it was worthwhile, but we've already like gotten the bang for our buck out of it. I mean, like, if nothing else, it lets me test all of my customization before we go live with it, so that nothing's broken on day of. But we also use it for training and that sort of stuff.
Now, how do you keep it? This is probably a dumb question, but do you have everything that you have on the production server on the test server? And if not, how do you update it?
We
with new
just have
stuff?
to generally it's synced up. We have to request a resync of the data if we want fresh data.
But you've
Otherwise,
all the
it's-
data on it. It's
Yeah.
matches more or less. Okay.
It's a complete duplicate of our live database. Yeah. Other than like right now, it's on the next version because it gets upgraded before our production server.
It'd be great to be able to test the new upgrades on something like that, or
I
even
find
just
that
for
it's-
training. Yeah.
I find that it's really helpful for training
Training,
because
yeah.
we have, 50 libraries and usually
Dog.
right after the test server gets upgraded, I will ask Bywater to match the data on our production system with the test system. And then that way I can start training staff on what the new upgrade is going to look like. And it also gives me an opportunity to test and make sure that if we do have anything custom, that it still works. That's one of the things that I was going to mention. If you saw Jason's internet user JS system preference, everything in there, he's got pretty well documented. It's always a good idea to use the comments in the JavaScript and the CSS to make sure that you make a comment that says, this is what this piece of code does. Because when I started working here, I came into 7 years of never having any comment of custom code that didn't have any comments anywhere in it. And it took forever to figure out, which pieces were needed, which ones weren't needed anymore, which ones worked. If something broke, it was impossible it was just a pain to figure out what was working and what wasn't. So it's a good idea if you're going to add custom stuff to be sure to comment the hell out of it so that you know what it does.
I also like putting the bug number in if I'm like I put a band-aid on something. If I put the bug number in, then I know like I can take that chunk out whenever that patch gets pushed through. What else do we want to talk about today? We've got 20 minutes. We don't have to fill it if we don't want to, but I'm happy to answer questions or show other stuff. I'm sure George and Barbara are and Lucas are as well. I like these meetings because Lucas is here. I like being able to pick Lucas's brain and having like Bywater in the room. So
We'll bring a list. I'm just joking. A list of all our open tickets the next time. Oh, making myself choke.
I was trying to think if there's anything else fun or cool that I've done recently. One problem
We had something that
go
Lucas
ahead.
did for us, I guess, is to make the delete the patron button in the menu drop down red so that it is very distinct visually.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a horrible idea at all.
Do you want to show it, Brandon, or show?
Sure, I guess.
I like to
hang on
get a
sec.
visual on things.
Yep, hang on. If I
Yeah,
can do
thank you
this.
for that. You've done a lot of cool stuff for us.
Yeah, that's just one of the many things that I'm sure we've asked Lucas to do for us. But I guess if I look up my patron here. All right,
think you
this
go
is
to
me.
edit,
And then
maybe?
yeah, it's up here under more.
Oh, more.
So it's red and it's more obvious.
Did you find that? And it was also in the middle there somewhere, I think.
Yeah,
instead
I
of
think
at
it
the
was
end.
it was not
So,
at the very end. So we asked to drop it to the bottom and make it red.
did you find that folks were just accidentally clicking delete too much?
No, it was me, and I was trying to. So we have like patron registrations for like self-registration, and we don't allow people outside of Massachusetts. So I have to delete them if they sign up. And instead of deleting them, I sent them a password reset email. So
Oh, I see. So
yeah,
you're trying to click delete and clicking something else.
yeah, I'm actually like telling them, hey,
Oh, because
welcome to the
it was
library or
yeah, it
something.
was like somewhere here, I think. Yeah.
And I know delete has a confirmation, but maybe some of those other ones that
Yeah,
don't
the
have
other ones do
confirmations.
not.
Oh, okay.
So the implementation of that, the coloring is CSS, and then moving it to the bottom is a little bit of jQuery, I assume.
Yeah, and if I don't know if I recall correctly, but usually when there is a little bit of CSS to include in a JavaScript snippet, I will just put it in as the JavaScript or the jQuery CSS function to just keep everything in one block in one place and not have to have two different pieces of code. Unless
Okay, that
there's
makes sense.
like a lot of CSS, in which case I would just do regular CSS and put that in the other system preference.
That's what I
Cool.
do too. It's if there's a lot of CSS and a lot of jQuery, it's good to split them up. But if it's just like one little tiny thing, it's good to keep them together so you know where it all is. I was also going to add, I don't know if you guys know about the Koha wiki, but there is, I'm going to put a link in here to the SQL library, and there's a jQuery library. And there's also an HTML and CSS library that doesn't get as much use as the other two. There's a notices and reports library, but for some reason or other, I don't have it bookmarked. And that's where I'm going to put the notice that I wrote for you guys,
I have
that I
one.
modified for you guys. So
I got you here. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Well, we're having a lot of fun with notices, but it just could be our own workflow. I haven't got the strength to describe it, but it may not be of interest to other people anyway. It's the bill, which is our third notice.
how many libraries do you guys have?
We have,
We have
35, but 38 locations.
Okay.
So we increase our size by including the branches. And one of those is community college. So things are a little bit different for them. We still, I'd say about 75% of our libraries are fine free. Correct me, Michelle, if I'm wrong. But we still have like a handful that still charge fines. And that our fines are not working. So our loan rules are, Michelle is the loan rule expert, but you know, I wish the libraries would just say, okay, we're giving up fines because it's not working, but that's not going to happen because they have to discuss with their towns and so on. But yeah, it's nice to be 75%. We had said initially we wouldn't get involved in influencing whether, because they're all independent. It's not like they all are different municipalities or private libraries. So it's each place's decision whether they go fine free, but it's been a pain to trying to get that to work with the new loan rules. So
I get,
sorry, the short answer is 38 locations.
I get a question for Lucas, maybe. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's to do with our billing situation. But we got set up with a plugin that Kyle wrote for. It's like a plugin for printing. Like it basically queries
Yeah.
your overdues and then makes like a table summary, and then you can print the notices.
Right. Yeah.
From
Yeah. I
the
think it's
template.
overdue printer plugin or something like that. I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. So we our notices go out for overdue 1 and 2. They go out by the checkout location. But the libraries want to send the bills out based on like their items that they own, not just the items that they check out, right? So Kyle added a little bit onto that plugin. He added a new field so you can choose like whether you're doing the holding library versus the owning library of the item. So I get like basically you can run the report now based on the item owning location. And that seems to more or less work, but there's something weird about how that code is implemented in that it doesn't, it's the way that it's querying and finding the overdues, it's actually checking the original checkout date. It's not checking the due date. So it doesn't take into account auto renewals. I just found that out. Like,
oh, really? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because that plugin predates
auto renewals.
Auto renewals in Koha. So,
yeah.
Let me.
So is that something like we could? I did update the ticket just this morning about that.
And is that ticket in Kyle's hands?
Yeah, Kyle and Todd.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like that just needs to be probably dealt with. However, in that plugin is sort of old now, and I know it's just hard coded. It's hard coded SQL queries doing everything. So you probably just aren't accounting for certain things surrounding auto renewals.
Yeah. Or it's just basically checking the wrong field because correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be finding the overdue. So it looks like if you look at a patron's checkouts, it has like the due date, but it also has the original checkout date. It's just like it's looking at the wrong field in the table, I think.
Let me just pull that plugin up and maybe we could quickly see what's happening. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. I don't know. Like, give me a sec.
Yeah.
It's going out too soon.
You like a link for us to look at or something, I can look into it too.
Yeah, let me show you actually, and I can give you this link. So I will sometimes come to GitHub where and I can give you the link when we're done here. This is it, the Koha overdue notice plugin. And one thing we can do is just file issues here, much like we would bugs for Koha proper things, and let that be known. But probably if you have a ticket out, that's better because that's more likely to get Kyle's attention. But
yeah, and I'm wondering because last month I wonder if this is actually the code, like if when he made this little development for us, did he put it directly into the plugin or did he like install the plugin and like modify just our install of it?
I bet you that we can look at the last commits that were made. And I bet you he updated the plugin for everybody and then generated a new one and installed it on your site. It looks like he updated it, in fact, 2 hours ago.
Maybe he's working on that ticket.
So he might be working on that. And we can go through here and probably see like what he's done, or we can just sort of see by looking here what all the plugin is actually doing. And what you're going to see here is just a lot of like
Gotcha.
hard-coded SQL is really all it is. And then, you know, depending on those little drop downs where you do different queries, we're doing different stuff. So
Yeah.
My guess is that if Kyle's working on that, you know, you'd rather have Kyle working on that than me, so we can.
Oh no, I
leave
just
that there.
was like, while you're here, I just wanted to pick your brain
Yeah.
a little bit, see
So
what you knew.
I will give you this link so that you can go here to like the Bywater repo page, and this is that actual plugin. I just put it in Zoom. So you can just like poke around and see like what the code looks like, and you can also kind of go through the history of commits to see who's done what recently, or see what Kyle did in the last hour or 2 hours.
Well, and if you're comfortable doing it, you can also clone the repository and make changes to it and push them back into the repository. And if Kyle thinks they're good changes, he can make them part of the package. I've done that with one of the plugins that the permissions.
Yeah, you definitely can
plugin.
do that too. That just takes a little bit more get if you got a little bit more get knowledge.
Yeah, and you also have to know what you're doing in Koha, so you're making a change that's valuable. So it's, you know, something that you know, once you learn more about Koha and once you learn how the plugins work, that you can change them yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Any other burning topics before we close up shop here? We've got about 6 minutes.
That might be a no.
Yeah, it sounds like a no. When are they going to add the little sound clip cricket button to Zoom? I really need it. All right. Well, all right. I guess we'll call that a wrap for this month, and we will meet again next month at the same bat time, same bat channel, talk about more web dev stuff. So see you guys next time.
Thank you.
See y'all later. It's good seeing everybody.